Psychological detail, visual overview. These visual effects are known among programming circles as the white hand sprite, ghost animation, and the burial-eyed model, each of which has been found to cause headaches, nausea, and in severe cases, hemorrhaging of the brain and lungs. While around 70% of Lavender Town Syndrome (LTS) is due to the Lavender Town tone, the remaining percentage is split among visual phenomena. This partly due to the visual similarity occurring after the player is introduced to the Lavender Town tone. It has been theorized that those unaffected to the REL simulation, such as deaf or hard of hearing, made up the remaining 30%. While viewing these models can cause these effects, there are certain methods that allow a viewer to safely examine them in detail. The white hand sprite. Known in the code as whitehand.gif, this was scripted to appear as a Pokemon on the 3rd floor of the Lavender Tower. It is divided into 4 separate animations in introducing the cry a Pokemon unleashes before battle. The Indo had 2 attacks. These attacks are unknown, but are listed simply as Fist and Brutal. While viewing the animation has been proven to be hazardous, viewing the individual frames of the model has been proven to have no adverse effects. The white hand is described as a shriveled, slightly decayed, with surprising attention to detail. The flesh is peeling back from the bone, and several tendons dangle realistically out of the wrist. The first attack is the hand balling into a fist, swinging forward. However, the brutal animation is missing several frames. The hand seems to open up, then cut out after a few seconds. It reappears, close again, and there's no record to be found of these missing frames. The ghost animation, known as in the code as haunting.swf, was intended to be placed in several areas through the tower, including the center path on the 2nd floor. However, the player cannot interact with it, leaving many to believe that this was intended as a background feature. The ghost animation, like white hand sprite, must be viewed as individual frames. It is compressed by 59 fatal frames total. However, after extraction, around half of these frames have been revealed to be the standard ghost model. All of your versions used in Pokemon games that allow travel to Lavender Town. Around a quarter of the remaining frames are comprised of static that precedes a fading effect. However, interspersed with these bursts of static are several frames of screaming faces and images of a skeletal man in a cloak, hypothesized to be the Grim Reaper, and several killed corpses. The meaning behind these are unknown. While under oath before the Video Games Commission Board, lead programmer Hishi Sagabe testified as to having no knowledge as to where these images surfaced. Out of all the phenomena associated with LTS, this animation is the most speculated on his thesis, the video games and manipulation of the human mind, viewed in Appendix C. Dr. Jackson Turner argued with the images were initially placed in due to their brief appearing on the screen and graphic nature of these images. Turner theorized that these were meant to subliminally induce the players to become more frightened by the disturbing surroundings. Often referred to its codename, the Berryman script, the Buried Alive model was to be found on the final story of the Pokemon Tower, in the spot where it has been replaced with the Marowak ghost. According to the script assigned to it, the Buried Alive model was intended to be a boss of the tower. Upon reaching to the top floor, the following conversation would have taken place. Buried Alive, you're here. I'm trapped, hence I'm lonely. So ever lonely. Won't you join me? After the battle would have been initiated on ones in battle view. The Buried Alive model would appear to be a decaying human corpse attempting to crawl out of the ground. It is programmed to have two right hands, a Gengar, and a Muck. Strangely enough, a protocol for Buried Alive's actions after defeat wasn't written. In the case of the players defeating him, the game would freeze. However, an unknown programmer is said to have wrote a specific ending that was supposed to play once Buried Alive was defeated. In the ending, Buried Alive was stated, finally, fresh meat, followed by several lines of gibberish. He was to have then dragged the player into the ground surrounding him. The scene would have finished with a typical game over screen. However, in the background, an image of Buried Alive would be devouring the player was to be shown. Especially strange are the protocols for after this scene. The cartridge was to download this image into a small initial memory contained in the Game Boy, overriding the title screen that would normally accompany a Game Boy turning on. Afterward, whenever the Game Boy would start, the player would view the same image of Buried Alive, devouring the player from the Pokemon games as a sound file of a static mesh wave was to be played. The intended purpose of this effect, unlikely many of the other factors leading to LTS, is unknown.